I don't know, like, she's out there. You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JD.
That's when I was smoking my cigars.
Don't be an asshole today. Melissa, seriously, you look fantastic. Really.
I got back from work, so I'm dressed up.
Just let me think that it was for the show.
Oh, I did. I got completely dressed up. Yeah, I'm like,
Thank you.
got my necklace on. I got a little. I have leftover mascara on from yesterday. Can you hear my Bluetooths they're not connecting. So can you hear me all right?
I can totally hear you. Yep.
All
my
right.
co-host is can't figure out why she can't get in.
Oh, well, that's cool then.
No worries. She's coming.
Okay.
She'll figure it out. She's iPadding, so everything's a little bit harder for her. Yeah. Yeah.
So how's London?
You know what? I love it. I do love it here.
Been there for years, right?
Yeah. Like this is my 11th year. In March was 11 years. Yeah, it took a long time to adjust, a really long time. Like it was hard to find a job. It was hard to find to understand the transportation systems, and I still don't. I still refuse to go anywhere alone.
Yeah. What about community? You're finding community there?
The lesbian band community over here is just fantastic. Like Evie and Nikki Mitchell and Heads Hearts, and I mean there was just so many. And each year we would go back and we would do this festival, and whether they were performing or not, they would just come to see everybody. Like that's what I love, is that if you text any of them and say, hey, we're getting together over here, they'll figure out a way to get there, and just be together. And you know what, Melissa Ferrick, I just want to put this out there for people that may not know this, that you're all professional now, like teaching and stuff. So you have like a real job, and you're spreading the knowledge, and that is commendable. How did you fall into that?
Really by accident, what was I thinking? I was thinking about this the other day because someone was asking me, but when it was right before The Truth Is came out. So it had to have been 2011. I got a call from Berkeley College of Music, where I had gone to school, and they were looking for people to teach the 5-week program, which is their summer program for high school students. And I had gone to that my junior summer, and that's actually where I kissed a girl for the first time.
Hey,
yeah, so I realized I realized I was queer there. I realized
a special place in your heart.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I mean, I realized I was earlier than that in my life, but I didn't really have the language for it, nor the physical experience of it. So so I was like, you know what, this place, and I went to college there. So I was like, I'm going to do this. And so that's really where I got the bug, the giving back and teaching bug. So I said yes to that. And I became the artistic director of their performing songwriter division of the 5-week summer high school program, and increased the capacity. Over 8 years I did that, or 9 years I did that. And I increased I don't take all the credit for it, but the program itself like doubled. And I had a lot of artists, but one in particular was Megan Trainor was there, and also Maggie Rogers. And so they were, that was a pretty special time. And while I was doing 5-week, that's what they call it there, they started to train me as a teacher at the college level. So I sat in and I learned how to teach from a professor there named Scarlett Keys. So I sat on a lot of her courses and Pat Pattison courses. And then I became a assistant professor there, or part-time. I guess I wasn't an associate professor, but anyway, whatever. And I really liked it, but it really interfered. It was starting to really interfere with the pace at which I was able to make my own music. So, but so I was there, and then I was getting into my 40s, like my mid 40s. And I was like, I don't really want to get back in a van again and do like all over the world eating McDonald's. I just really can't take it. My body can't take it. And
it's a grind, man. Yeah.
It's a real grind. And I don't, and also, I really didn't, I'd been on the road since I was 17, so I was like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have a lot of community. I didn't really have any home, so to speak, you know.
Right.
And that was really, it was really hard for me. And and it's been hard learning how to make friends. You know, I started really learning how to make friends in my mid 40s. And so now I'm, you know, I'm 51, I'll be 52 this year. And I'm like,
Right there with you, right there
I
with you.
actually, yeah, I actually have friends. I actually have
Yeah.
people that
That's
I'm starting
great. That's
to
great.
know.
But
Yeah.
it's like being reintegrated into society, you
I
know,
mean, as
because
a full adult, when you're like, I don't know what I'm
yeah,
doing. Yeah. Like, how do
it's
you make
true,
friends?
right? Like,
You want to
oh,
see me
wow.
next weekend? I remember there's this one girl I had this crazy crush on, and like I was Boulder, Colorado or something. And like I wanted to date her. And then I was like, oh, it would take me 10 years to see you 20 times because I come here twice a year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. How difficult. Didn't even think, you know, factor in a relationship on top of like
Forget
just a
about it.
friendship
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's where all the songs come from. You're like,
It's a wealth. It's a wealth of material. But now look at you. Like, what did you, so, all right, go back, take yourself back way back then. And if somebody would have asked you where you thought you would be at 51, would you
mm,
stay where you are now?
no, I think
No.
when I was young, like when we're coming up on the next year, will be the 30th anniversary of my first record. And of course, I wanted to be Sinead O'Connor. I wanted to be
Yeah.
famous. And
Yeah.
more than that, I didn't really want to just be famous. I just wanted to be able to make records, like make music, like that's,
Be
and be
heard.
successful. And I have done that. So it's always kind of like
Sure.
important for me to reflect back and think, I have students, for instance, that want to do what I've done. And I think when I say to them, I have to be really grateful. I didn't have to have a second job from the time I was 17 until I don't think I've ever had to have a second job, right? Like I'm
Right.
choosing to teach, I'm
Right.
choosing to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think the biggest thing, no, I never would have thought I would teach at the college that I went to and left, halfway through. I
Right.
certainly never would have thought I'd go to Harvard. I mean, that was definitely, that was mind blowing and I just graduated in 2019, but that's like
So
never,
impressive.
never it's still kind of incredible to think that, and I'm really involved at the Graduate School of Education still too. So I was a teaching fellow there, and I still co-teach a course with my mentor, Dr. Carson, who's very involved in the connection between psychopathology and creativity, which is really what I'm interested in research.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm in deep on the psychology of creativity. Just because it's been something I've lived, like
Yeah.
how does the road affect the brain of a highly creative individual who is, trying to balance the difference between, isolation and solitude. Like
Yeah.
isolation can kill us,
Right.
as we know, choose,
Yeah.
but
Right. The whole world
yeah,
experiencing
we all
it at
know
the same
that. Yeah,
time. Wow.
exactly. Yeah. So that's been really fun. But
Oh my God. But the cool thing is that you just mentioned isolation, and I'm thinking everybody's making that connection with isolation now,
yeah,
whereas before, I don't know, like you thought isolation was sitting in your own backyard and not having anybody over. Like that was isolation. It wasn't about not being able to see
yeah,
other people. You were making a choice to isolate and hang out and that, but when it's mandatory or it just becomes a part of your life, it's a whole different ball of wax, and that's now we understand it. Like I feel like now we get it, kind of thing. But the amazing thing is finding that, like you said, the psychoanalytical part of, what is happening? Like, how is this? Am I choosing this? Is it just sprung upon me? Am I following order? I'm following orders. I'm not really choosing it, but it felt forced, and we all got like a little taste of that. And yeah, it's I don't want to use the word soul destroying, but I mean, I think especially for the creatives, like that, it was I watched my friends struggle so hard with it, that couldn't work, that were doing Facebook Live stuff and trying to connect and engage with people, and saw how hard it was. I think, we started the podcast at the kind of like in the onset of it, in early 2020. And obviously we wanted to engage with each other and people, and still let people know, that it's okay if you got to do things on the internet, but it really, my question is did people get the same reward as they would if they were sitting in a room with someone? Did it feel as rewarding? Like I felt like it's all we had, like that was the only way I could see my mom, in Florida, or in, talking on the phone and video chats and stuff like that for 2 years. And I mean, normally I was going home every 3-4 months, and all of a sudden, or at least she would come over here, once or twice. But, that was brutal. It was really brutal. And I thought, I mean, thank God that we do what we do, because it was a way to, catch up with people, talk to people. It didn't have to be, I wasn't looking for like, A-list guests or anything. I just wanted, anyone to come on and talk about what their experience was, and now that we're moving out of it, how it's affected them. And I think what you're doing is incredible. It's a great thing to, especially because, kids are coming to that class because, they're musically inclined, they're creative, they're, but you're showing them the other side to it, just so they have the whole picture.
Yeah. I think at Northeastern, that's where I teach now. I've been at Northeastern University for the last 3 years. It's a different student than the Berkeley student, because I'm teaching in music industry program. I also teach in their creative practice master's program, which is creative practice leadership, which is really interesting. But, circling back to some of what you're talking about, which I find so interesting. And one of the things that I'm sure we all are kind of unraveling now, which is, as a musician, when I I do think that musicians and artists, let me just say artists
in general,
artists in general are pretty good at isolating. So we're used to and can thrive on that. That's a space in which I usually create from. But that difference between it being, I'm using the word solitude only because very famous poets have used that and writers have used that as a space that's very fertile for creative process, for for illumination, and for, incubation would be a solitude space, and then illumination coming out of that and creating works. But I think that the thing about isolating and isolation, right, is that it really can cause us to go into mental distress. And I think for the whole universe, I can't speak for the whole universe, but for even quote unquote regular people, we have all suffered, mentally. My students, the people I see, the musicians I know who weren't able to switch into playing live well who were just like completely freaked out by it. It's been a real mental health crisis. I am really grateful that I had a little trouble the first couple months when COVID hit. I got real scared.
Me too.
Real scared. I was like, can I not breathe? I was, and now I can't go to a hospital. I mean,
I know, as a Virgo, imagine. I've been training my whole life for this because I'm a neatnik. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. I'm, neurotic about those things, but I was not prepared for this.
Well, me either. And so I got wicked scared. But then I kind of came, as soon as I got vaccinated, I was all set.
Yeah, I felt relief.
I was like, I'm good. I'm not going to die, most likely. So I'm good.
Right. But flying my first flight, I was very nervous all over again. Like I'm vaxxed and boosted, and I got a mask on. I got my hand sanitizer. I can't do anymore. Like I just need to chill out and get. I'm
not getting in a plane. I'm not getting a plane right now, but
it was a little hard. But I'll tell you, I was sitting next to a British guy on the way back, ironically, and I got overwhelmed again, with being in the airport. Miami is such a mixing pot of every place under the sun coming in, so that was my thing. That was what was hitting the nerve with me. So I got on the plane and I must have looked freaked out because the guy was so nice next to me. He was like, have you not flown during the pandemic? I'm like, well, I got here, like I'm actually, I live in London, so I'm going back. And he goes, oh, where do you live? And I told him, and he lives like right nearby. And we chatted for a while. And he was like, can I ask the flight attendant to like, do you want a blanket? Do you need a drink? Can I get, and he was so lovely for the whole thing. And I would just finally like relaxed midway through, but it was tough, man. It was tough. Yeah. There were certain things that, I still won't like get on a tube. I won't get on the underground. Like I'll take a train because the windows are open and I feel better about it, but I won't go underground for anything. So I'm kind of, not really up for going to events. And even we went to go see Hannah Gadsby in March on St. Patrick's Day, actually. And I thought, what a freaking night to be out, didn't even dawn on me that it was St. Patrick's Day when we got the tickets. But we ended up like taking an Uber back and forth instead of public transportation. And it just felt like a better choice, like it is all about, I know, people that they're next level with this stuff and they're still not going out and everything. But I feel like, the more knowledge you have about it and the better grasp you have on what it takes for you to feel personally safe, then you'll be okay. You're taking responsibility for yourself. You're protecting others if you're wearing a mask. And, that's all you can do, so it is about just your level, of comfort. You don't want to fly yet? Don't fly yet. Like I got it. That was brutal. That was a push through. If there ever was one, that was a push through. But, I feel bad because I like, supporting live music. You want to go see someone play, and I'm still not comfortable in big old crowds yet, and that's hard, like even at the Hannah Gadsby show, it was in a little bit of it was in the London Palladium, but we wore a mask the whole time, and there were like maybe one out of every two people were doing it, and I just thought, fuck it, I don't care what people are saying or thinking, I got to do what's right for me. And that's kind of like how you have to go about it. But it makes me feel bad because that's my first thought when I'm thinking, like, I want to go see Horse. We were talking about her. I wanted to go see Horse, new tour, new songs and everything. I wanted to go, and it's like all of a sudden the new normal is putting weighing your decision, I think, of what you're going to do, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, how many people are going to be there. It's just stuff we didn't really think about before. And that's hard. I think it would be like, if I was a musician, I would be cool stepping into a small studio, recording my stuff, but never having to go out and play it. It's, it's crazy. And I always, like you were saying, sometimes those situations, are what you write about, when you're, so, I wish JD could get in here because she wrote an amazing song during the pandemic, and it was called Keeping the Faith. And it was so heartfelt, and it summed up what we were going through in a song. It was pretty cool.
Well, listen, why is there a reason? Let me copy this invitation and see if you stick this in the chat. I don't know.
Well, I copied her.
Just try that. That's in the chat. I don't know why they can't get in here. Let's
see. It's so strange. Every once in a while, her email just kind of jams up and she gets stuff from other people. And then I don't get why she's not getting it from me. Like I take it very personal.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, I just want to warn you, I have to leave at 6 o'clock, so I can't.
I got you. But I want to talk about like where you're at now, as far as like, new stuff, writing, moving forward, what it looks like for you. How do you feel about things? Is teaching where it's at for you now?
Yeah, I really, well, next year with the 30th anniversary of the first record, I'm working on a huge project right now. So on a triple record that'll be out next August.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know.
That's what we need to hear.
That'll be really good. We're going to, I'm going to do a retrospective, and there'll also be a bunch of writing involved in it. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of creative nonfiction essays about my experiences with each song as it kind of travels along through each of the albums. So there's 18 albums, and so there'll be at least 18 tracks on there, and then and some writing about just, you know, some I've been hinting at, you know, writing some sort of, not a memoir, but I think I'd like to do a book of short essays just about particular experiences that really stand out, you know, like meeting Morrissey, like that moment, or meeting.
That would be amazing.
Well, and a thing that I learned from each of those experiences, and because I think that will be helpful for students as well. You know, like I always tell this story to, sometimes students will ask me if you could go back and do, you know, one thing differently, which is like a classic question.
Yeah,
and there's a few things I would do. I'm not ashamed that I did them the way they did. Everything, of course, gets you to where you are, but
of course,
but in hindsight, I've learned certain things. And there's one particular instance at Atlantic Records when I was putting when the first record was coming out, and I guess I could go back, and I will go back and figure out what the woman's name was in 1994, who was the head of publicity. I can't remember her name, but, you know, she was probably, you know, she was the head of publicity at Atlantic Records. You know what I mean? Like, she was like really good at what she did. And I was 22, and, you know, and I went into her office and started to tell her
how to state it. You're right.
Oh, good. Like okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll say hi first. Hey, JD.
Hang on a second. Let me just see if I can join in.
You're there. We can hear you. Oh, thank God.
Oh,
Melissa's got 10 minutes left.
This is awesome.
I'm holding the iPad up because I put the thing away already. I gave up. So I'm just going to hold it and talk to you.
Oh, yeah. It's totally fine. It's so good to see you, JD. It's so cool. This is so great.
Nice to meet you.
I know, but I don't think I've ever met you, JD, but Denise and I met each other, I would say it's got to be 20 years ago, Denise.
I think it is. Right? I think we're going on 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Were you working at Amazon when it first, where were you working when I first met you? Or you wrote a play that was...
Yeah. No, I was working at Aetna. It was at Aetna, but I was doing the podcast, The Lesbian Lounge.
And were you also an editor of some kind, or
no, I did a lot of writing. We did an audio soap opera. We did a lot of stuff that we incorporated.
What it was. I was trying to remember.
I think we asked you if we could use your music.
Yeah. And I don't know if I owned it then, but I hope I said yeah. I mean,
Yep. But yeah, that's way back. We were just, Jay, we were just talking 30 years since her first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Well, oh my God.
It will be 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I first got on CD Baby, you were like the best seller on CD Baby. And I was like so impressed with your career and your music. And I can't believe I'm meeting you today. And I couldn't get on, and everyone else's email was coming through and Denise's wasn't there. I pictured it flying overseas somewhere, like floating over from London.
I think maybe what was happening was I was including you both on the email, but when I sent it to you separately, because Melissa just sent me the link in the little chat box, and I sent it to you separately, and maybe that's what it was. It wasn't making a detour upstate. It was coming straight to
very
Florida.
Slow cloud.
It only stopped by her. It didn't continue.
So Melissa was just telling us that when she was 22, she was sitting in. Melissa, tell her you were sitting in an office.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about how like that question that you get from people be like, you know, what would you do differently, or you know, what would you do differently if you could look back now? And I'm talking about when I put this, I'm doing a retrospective so that it should come out next year in August, and I'm going to include little short essays about moments that I remember, or things that I learned, or people that I met, or like kind of like peak, you know, quote unquote peak moments, not peak, important. I should change that.
Yeah, the ones that had the impact.
Yeah, ones that really were like, okay. And one of them was the head of publicity at Atlantic, who I was 22. The first record was getting ready to come out. She must have, I was saying to Denise, you know, she's at her prime, right? Like this woman is like head of publicity,
right.
Like
right.
she kind of knows what she's doing, you know. She was probably 50, you know, my age now. Like when you hit it, you know, like we're in our stride now. Like we know what we're doing, right? People,
right.
like, we know, we know what we're doing, and we don't give a shit what other people think anymore. We're just, you know, we want to do things the right way, but we can also admit when we're wrong. We can learn new things. We can just let it go. We don't need to carry stuff around with us because who's got the time? And so I walk in there and I'm starting to tell her, I was trying to tell her how to, you know, publicize my record. And she was so patient and kind with me. And she just listened to me. And she said, you know, you have some really interesting ideas and I'll definitely think about that. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, that.
And now I do that, you know?
Right.
I mean, seriously,
that is so true.
In your role now, how many kids come up to you, you know, and say, I want to do what you did, or I want to follow that path, and I want, you know, like, do you now tell them, be open, like, you know?
I mean, what they usually say, which you have to be careful, right? Because artists are like really thin-skinned, you know. I mean, I'm
very
still
sensitive,
so sensitive. And even now, you know, when I write a song and I play it for you, I really just want you to tell me that it's great.
Right.
I really don't, especially when it's a new song, you know, when it's new, right, JD? And we're still working out, like, I really just want somebody to be like, that freaking melody right there is so good. Like, just don't say anything bad about it yet.
Right.
Just say what's good about it.
Right.
Maybe you could say, like, I thought for sure it was called This Time because you said this time 16 songs, but you want to call it like, you know, you want to call it like Last Year's Heartache, and that lyric isn't even in the song.
Right.
Don't be freaking Tom York, because you're not Tom York and you can't do that, you know, like. So you can say stuff like that to me once we're friends and we're in the studio, or like, you know, then I'm sure JD, like, then I do really want like constructive critique.
Right.
Because I can be like, that's a cool idea, but I actually don't want to do that, but thank you. So, but now students or younger people, they're not all students, just the other artists, and they just want to be, I mean, there's two categories, right? Like, they just want to be famous, which I have no qualms about, but I can't help you. If we knew how to do that, we would all just do that.
Right.
And then there's other ones who are like, I guess there's three categories. Then there's ones who are like, how do I do this? And I say, you have Google. And I had the white pages, right?
Right.
I mean, I literally looked up the address of managers that wanted to represent me. And I freaking went to New York, and I found their offices, and I opened the door and was like, here's a package. That's what we did.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you want to play the bitter end, go to the bitter end.
Exactly.
Every freaking week, and learn what the bartender's name is and make friends with her.
Yeah,
that's true.
That is
true.
Don't be mean to the door person, because they're going to be running the club in freaking 6 months, you idiot.
Right.
You know?
It's different now. Yeah, it's so different.
See, these are the little nuggets. These are the little nuggets, you know, that
I think people should know this anyway.
Yeah, that's why a book is where
it should be that way.
Yes.
That's how you are. That's how I was, JD. That's how that's where I go. Where I was. I mean, when my dad said, learn the custodian's name because he's got every key.
Right. Right. You're right. That's exactly true. And you need to have that grassroots approach, because even now, you know, like you could go online and get people's names, but if you could get that personal connection and with the people around them, that's exactly true. I love that about the janitor. Your dad was so true. It was so right.
I just want to let both of you know that I used to eat lunch with a janitor.
Listen, and
yeah, doesn't surprise me.
You just can't. You can't. Because, you know, it's that old saying of like, who you see while you're going up, you'll see on the way down, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's and so those moments, like I learned, you know, two things from that experience with that publicist, which is one, you know, well, I mean, a lot of things, because I did have a lot of good points. I had my ear to the ground. I knew my queer community. I knew where I should, that maybe I shouldn't be playing that club. I should be playing this club. And she's not on the ground the way that we are when we know our market. So the artist doesn't know their market, but learning to stay open-minded. And as I've grown up in this industry and written with other people and been, now in teaching and learning about different ways of thinking, even being flexible with my thinking, like I just feel like I'm definitely a better writer now. I'm doing co-writing, I'm in recording with other people, and I'm writing in kind of in a country genre. And, it's just really interesting how I just feel like I don't need to necessarily tour far away from home anymore because of COVID. Like, one of the wonderful things about getting stuck at home, right, was that, like, I got a pretty good setup here now to play live from my house.
Right.
And I think that I'm lucky at the age that I am. My fans are older as well. And they don't necessarily want to go to the freaking bar. Who wants to play at 9 o'clock? I'm like, you want me to go on at 9 on a Sunday? None of my fans are going to be up that late. They have kids, right? They have kids, and they have jobs.
Yep.
That's
so I can go online at 8 o'clock at night East Coast time, which is 5 Pacific time. So I don't know.
It's good.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, things are changing. They're changing, and people had to adapt. We've all figured out ways to, we're in survival mode. We figured out ways how to survive that, but we also found out what works for us.
Yeah.
I think
it's thinking outside the box too. Like, we've had to really think outside the box on what we're going to do to have our still create and do our art, and the online thing really worked for me as well, Melissa, during the lockdown, especially. I was just telling somebody today, I just was in the other bedroom here that I made into like a little studio, and I was reaching people in Italy, like, hello from Spain, hello from Italy, just on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know what it was there, but they were all listening. And I was like, that's why I had the idea to do this podcast. But I wanted to ask you, at your live shows, like now, these days, how are you selling music? Because people don't even have a way to sell a CD. And I still have a bunch of CDs, but what do you do? Like, even if I wanted to have a new medium, what is it? Do you have a flash drive, or like with MP3s on it? Like, how are people selling music? Or do you just not at a show?
Yeah, I just don't. So, I mean, I had to, when I moved into Boston, and I don't know what you do with your taxes, but I threw out, I think I had to recycle about 12,000 CDs that I just knew I would, it just was weight in my attic.
Right.
And it was sad. And it was a lot of money, that I had spent.
Oh, yeah.
You spent it too. When 2005 hit, I mean, it was over, that 2005, when iTunes started, I mean, I really think it started a little before that for me, because I was, I mean, LimeWire first. Yeah. Well, the Napster.
Oh my God.
Right.
Was, we were killing it with CD sales through 2000, 2003, 2004, 2005. And then I made a record called In the Eyes of Strangers, which came out in 2006. It's a great record. And I've sold out of those CDs. And then we did a repressing. And when we repressed it, that's when I got screwed. And I took a huge, well, I don't know, huge in the indie world, right? Like but I took a tax deduction for the first time on like product that like broke down or whatever. I don't know what the heck it's called. There was a column for it. So I actually got to add up however much it cost us to make all those CDs, Jada. You think about that. And then you cut it in half or something. And then you can write that off as a loss.
Oh,
so that was good, but I cut some CDs, but now I just make vinyl. I make low run vinyl.
Really? Yeah.
And with the CDs that I have left, I put them out at a merch counter and I leave a basket and it just says, take what you need, and
That's
then there's
great.
Oh, yeah, great idea.
because there's I mean, some people like to get something signed at a show. Some
Right,
people have,
right,
they have old cars with CD players still in them.
right, yeah, yeah,
But you're right. Nobody's going to drop 15 or 20 bucks on a CD anymore. They're just not going to do
yeah.
it. So no, I
Yeah.
don't sell USBs or anything like that. I mean, it's all streamed. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right, right. I don't
Yeah.
even bother to bring him with me to the show because it's just extra weight, like you
I
said.
agree.
Another
That's
thing
what
the
I mean.
roadie's got
I
to
got some in
carry.
the back of my car and I just lay out whatever. I just grab a handful and I lay it out and I'm like, there you go. That's it.
I
Yeah.
like that idea.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know. I just keep thinking like we're on a bend, like things are really, we're on a curve. Things are changing. We've learned from the last couple of years what's necessary, what we need to do. But also looking back, like again, 2004, 2005, that was a big change too. But look at vinyl's coming back.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
loving their record players again, whether they're buying ones that are like that look retro, but they're really new.
Right,
I love
right.
it. I just love it. But yeah, people are getting back into the vinyl. I think that's smart to have a couple of those done.
Well, it
Definitely.
outsold CDs for the first time in the United States a couple of years ago. Vinyl did. So that's a huge mark, huge mark. And the good news is that even though the problem though, well, there's two. First of all, it takes so long. The backlog on vinyl pressing right now is so bad because there's only like 5 places in the US that even make vinyl. And one of the best ones like burned up and has been destroyed. I don't remember where it is, so I don't want to say the wrong place, but it's gone. And then the quality of vinyl pressing is also very back and forth. So there's some places that make very bad vinyl. So you want to be really careful about, and when you're finalizing your records, we used to call it mastering, we call it finalizing now. Well, you have to have a separate finalization for vinyl than you do for CD or for digital. So now for artists, now we have to pay even more money. We have to get you get Ozone. I don't know if you work in Pro Tools, but Ozone makes a fantastic mastering software called Isotope makes this plugin called Ozone, which has some amazing mastering software in there. So you can do that, but it's really it's a whole other ball game now with streaming. I mean, how artists are able to make money now really is just through branding and alliances and touring, but touring disappeared, right? And even with sync, like there used to be a ton of money in sync, and now because they know that they're the new A&R, if you're an unknown artist, basically you're happy to get the sync. You're not getting anymore. Like, I had a sync once that paid me $35,000. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money, but those just aren't coming through anymore for artists of my caliber or my success level. Now, you're lucky to get $150. I think I got placed in Dog the Bounty Hunter and I got paid $150. It's like,
oh yeah.
That's me taking the two of you for a steak dinner. It's like,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's there's no surviving in that route. There's
they spend all their money on, when they want the Rolling Stones song, they're, and now all the publishing, buyouts, which is amazing. But so now if they want to use a Paul Simon song, they're, it's not Paul Simon anymore that says yes or no, because you have to get permission to sync. You can't just sync something.
Yeah.
So, but now they don't have to go to Paul Simon or his publisher anymore. They're just going to go to whatever publishing company bought out the entire rights of that publishing.
Right.
So it's incredible.
It's like and I know you got to bolt out of here real quick, but I'm only gonna, I just wanted to mention that it's so hard when you're doing, like Jay, we talk about this all the time, don't we? It's so hard when you're doing everything on your own.
Yeah.
Like because the business interferes with the creative,
exactly,
interferes with the promoting. It's like all one thing, and you're, trying to, keep your hands on all of it. It's your stuff.
Yeah.
And it becomes so much business that it's, like it takes a little bit of the joy away from it. Especially if you're not technical, or savvy with that kind of stuff, like
Mhm.
it's a learning experience to get to where, that part comes easy, because I feel like it never does. I say it all the time, like the more I learn, the more work knowing
Right.
it is work,
Right.
doing it is work. It leaves so little time to create. And that's
Exactly.
difficult,
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
JD, you with CD Baby, is that how you're putting your stuff out?
Well, yeah, as on the digital distribution, the way, they have it on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, whatever. Yeah, that's basically how I'm getting my own music out there. And my, any way I can get it out through social media.
Jen,
But
you're
yeah,
always #1 on Reverb Nation.
yeah, I don't know. I've remained #1 in country in Miami on Reverb Nation, but I just got publishing on some of my songs for a company in France. So, they're going to shop it to some, commercial film, like what you said, you were in Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you never know. Yeah, sync. So that's just, they just have part of my catalog, but
and so let me ask you
there's
this.
another way. I don't know another way to do it. So
Yeah, so I have a question for you about that. I can push this till 6:10.
Okay.
It's a 6:30, but I need to
Yeah.
regroup and eat something. So the thing that you signed with the people in France, is it exclusive? Does it say this is an exclusive agreement?
it's an agreement for the deals they get. So they change the name on the songs when they get a deal. So it's just for that. They have 50% of the publishing just for that deal. So I still own the rights to it for anything else I get for it. So
okay, so it's non-exclusive then. So that's good. So so I do know that the CD Babies Pro Publishing opportunity is really, really good. And
is it?
Yeah, it's as close to I mean, Tanya Butler, who's the head of music business at Berkeley, and she's a lawyer, told me that it's as good as any publishing admin deal she's ever seen. So if you, and it's non-exclusive, so you can click that box and not feel afraid of that. So I would do that. And because then they're collecting all your neighboring rights royalties as well, which is like really, it's like mind boggling, and you'll never be able to do it. And are you with like ASCAP or BMI? Who are you with? Who's your performing rights organization?
ASCAP.
Cool. All right. So, and then are you also with Sound Exchange? Do you have a Sound Exchange account yet?
I don't.
Okay, so
I don't know what that is.
So sign up with Sound Exchange because they're collecting all the royalties for sound recording owners for all the streaming royalties.
Oh,
and
okay.
that's new. That's relatively new. It's a nonprofit organization based out of Washington, D.C. So all sound recording owners and performers. So you will get a double royalty from them. It's small, but it adds up.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah,
thank you for that information.
Soundexchange.com. So do that. And then yeah, so I just think and when you're putting stuff out with CD Baby, there's a couple other things too. Like you should really always click the box that says, yes, give me a UPC code, which I bet you do, because
yes.
And then also click the box that says, do you want us to attach an ISRC code to your material? So that's, you definitely want that. That's the International Standard Recording Code. And that is the code that's going to pick up your digital stream and acknowledge who it belongs to, so that you're able to get paid.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's free. And it's also not something to be afraid of. They're not taking anything from you. They're just identifying your digital product as it being you. So I teach this a lot because they're like, I didn't know what it was. So I assume it's the devil, and it's like, no, it's not. So
they assign it to you, to your account, you get your
exactly
code.
Exactly. So they know every time it spins on Pandora, every time it streams, because we say spins because it's old school, but every time it streams on Pandora, that code is tallied, and then it knows it's a JD Danner.
Oh, okay. I have to go back and look at that site. I have to
and
see
you can attach it now. You can do it in hindsight.
Oh, okay, good.
So, yeah, so you can just go back in and click on that.
Oh,
Yeah, I would go
That
into,
is
I would go
definitely
into,
valuable information right there.
It really is. Thank you so much for
Oh, I
that.
feel like we just got a free lesson.
you did.
Yeah.
You did. Well, then we'll let you go eat. You've earned a meal.
I love
yeah.
your hair, by the way. Love
I
your
know,
hair.
thank you. I just got it trimmed yesterday and it's really got some height. Well, it
It's
only
got
looks
some height there.
well,
You
it's-
got some hair product going on, I
no,
guess.
nothing. No, it's the
Really?
blow. She blew it dry. You know how when you go to the, you all
Yeah.
know, and then they
Yeah.
blow dry your hair. Look at this, the good gray. This is I like the sexy gray right
That's
here.
good gray. Yeah.
No,
I'm
when
gonna
you
show
go
you
to-
what's not good gray.
Oh, I got it. Trust me, I got it deep in here.
Yeah.
But I just haven't taken that shower that you have to take after you go to the hairdresser. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Like it's not really
wash
right.
their style out.
Exactly. Wash the blow dry out. I'm like, why are you do I look straight? Why are you blow drying my hair? It's
I
like,
say it all the time. I don't want to leave here looking like Bonnie Raitt. It never fails.
oh, no, it's like, the
Yeah,
femme
yeah.
tops, I guess, don't blow dry their hair. I don't know.
They're doing their
That's
job.
such a generalization. I'm just joking, but like,
Oh man, I'm telling you, it is so good to see you.
It's
And
so
I'm
good to
so
see you.
glad that you are spreading the knowledge. You're
Mhm.
you're giving it back in tenfold. It's amazing.
yeah.
We're looking forward to tell me again when August is when
August of next year. Yeah, it's gonna come out. I don't know. I really can't say how it will come out yet because it's still kind of under wraps, but it'll be a thing. And yeah, and I'm gonna do some sort of live or parties for it or something. I don't
Great.
know, but listen, if you have any sort of like online festivals or whatever, you gotta invite me. I'll come play for everybody.
Definitely. Well,
know?
you'd have
Yeah.
to fly. You'd have to fly.
Well, also like if you do an online one or something, or if
Oh,
you do,
true. Yeah.
like I can always zoom in, or something.
Right.
Yeah, especially if you're doing
Oh,
anything.
yeah. You guys
whatever
should
you're
do
doing.
something together. That would be
That'd be
fantastic.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
should.
Look at me. I'm
Awesome.
managing. I'm
Make it
managing.
happen.
No,
Make
that's
it
a
happen,
great
Denise.
idea. Yeah, send
Excellent.
me some tracks, send me some stuff. I love co-writing, JD. I'm always up for a co-write.
I'd love to do that. I'll send you some of my stuff and
Great,
we'll,
yeah.
figure
Yeah.
it out. I am
Denise-
so glad the link worked. Thank you for resending it. I was just desperately trying on everything I had. I'm like, I really wanted to talk to this woman.
I know.
today.
I know how bad she wanted to be here. It was killing me to get these messages. Still not here.
Oh.
Still no email. Still no. Oh no. Oh,
Well, we'll share the email, Denise. JD, get my email from
I will.
Denise in
I will make
numbers
sure
or
she has
whatever.
it.
JD, are you in London as well? I can't remember.
No, I'm in Florida.
In Miami, or where are you?
I'm in Boca Raton.
Okay,
but-
cool.
I say Miami because
A little older. They're a little older up north.
That's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. No, but it's
Okay,
good
we
because we're on
get
the
that.
same, we're on the same time zone, so that makes it easy.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're in Boston, right?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
in Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
amazing. I'm so glad we got to have this catch up. Really, thank you so much for being so
Yeah.
generous with your time. I
Anytime.
know you guys,
Thank you.
you're amazing. We love you, and I can't wait. We're gonna
Yep.
do things together. I can feel it.
Awesome.
I'm so excited.
Awesome. Love you guys too.
Take care, honey. It's like never stop chasing your dreams. There, see.
We drank way too much whiskey.